Coming up on today's edition of Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about, our guest is Lauren Rosberg.
Lauren's a financial advisor with Mercer Advisors and one of our Purse Strings approved professionals.
This will be a terrific episode if you're raising kids because today we are discussing dollars and cents, nurturing financial literacy in kids.
And Lauren has an interesting story and great advice. So let's get started.
Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe or write a review as it helps us grow, and share with a friend as we have to keep talking about this shit.
Gloria Steinem once said, "We will never solve the feminization of power until we solve the masculinity of wealth." Barbara Provost and Maggie Nielsen are the team at Purse Strings that will help you navigate the ins and outs of financial independence so that you can be financially fearless. This is Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about.
Hey, Lauren, we're so glad to have you on our podcast today. Before we get started, could you give a little intro of who you are and what you do?
Great. I'd be happy to. Thank you so much, Dr. Barb and Maggie, for having me. I'm really excited about this topic of installing financial literacy in our children. A little bit about me is I'm married. I live in Libertyville, Illinois, with my family, which is behind me. So that's my husband, Eric, and our 4 kids. We're a blended family. So I have Blake and Aubrey are my biological children. And then I have 2 children through marriage, and that's Addie and Amelia. So Blake is 13, Aubrey is 11, Addie is 9, and Amelia will be 8 this weekend. So we're looking forward to celebrating her. A little bit about my background. In 2006, I started as a financial advisor for a large Wall Street firm. It was fascinating as far as getting up to speed and working with people about retiring, saving for college. And it was a fantastic place to learn the business. But however, it's more about matching people with a financial product instead of doing holistic planning for them. So I worked there for about 3 years, and then the firm I was at was on the news every day in 2009, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It wasn't my calling. I really wanted to do holistic financial planning for people that incorporated tax, estate planning, insurance needs, instead of just bringing in assets and, making a profit for the firm. So I moved over to the registered investment advisory space, which, if you're familiar with the term fiduciary, we're fiduciaries. That means that we have a legal obligation to put our clients' interest first and to make sure that we are doing the best job that we can taking care of our clients. I started at Mercer a little bit over a year ago, and I am absolutely loving Mercer Advisors. It is such a wonderful environment for me. We have a strong focus on women in the financial field, women advisors. About 50% of our client-facing employees are women, which I think is just amazing. And
that is amazing.
I love it. I mean, if you look at our marketing, go to merceradvisors.com, you'll see pink and lavender, and it's just very different. It speaks to people of all ages, races, genders. I've just been floored with the culture of being at Mercer. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit about me. And with having 4 kids, we're talking to them all the time about different things. And one thing that's been really important is talking to them about money. I do it all the time because I'm talking to my clients. And Amelia, who's about to turn 8 this weekend, she loves to get in front of my computer and put Zoom on, change up the backgrounds, and pretend she's talking to clients. And she'll say stuff like, she'll be like, "Tell me about your money." "Wow, that's a lot. I'm going to want to manage some." It's just,
oh my gosh, you have a little financial advisor in the wings.
It's fun, yeah. So it's, just close to my heart of how can I teach them about money and how I can do that in a positive light that will help them move forward.
Well, we're so excited to have you on today and dive into this topic, as we've had different episodes really talking about our money stories and our money mindset. And we know how much learning about money in childhood really reflects how we talk about money later in life and some of those money stories we tell ourselves. So can you share a bit about your earliest memories of money and how they shaped your thoughts and feelings about money, kind of that money story that you hold?
Sure. Well, I had a childhood where I would consider upper middle class. My dad is actually in the financial business as well. So he had a job helping financial advisors with estate and tax issues and how to improve upon those issues. So it was sort of in my DNA to get into the financial fields. We, lived in a nice house. I was able to have horses, violin lessons. I was a figure skater. I competed internationally. It was a great childhood. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She wasn't really allowed to work. She did work part-time at a high-end specialty children's adult clothing store. I don't think it was a cash flow positive endeavor for her, but that was her thing. And then kind of fast forward to when I was in junior high. The world kind of came crashing in. My mom found out that my dad was having a long-term affair. And it started on Easter Sunday of 1994, and it was just crushing. I'll never forget that Easter Sunday. So, the world changed. That night, it was said that they're getting a divorce. And, things really changed. I remember with my mom one time, they left for Greece and we were left with a mobile credit card. So that was our only money that we had, was we could get anything we wanted from the mobile gas station, so it was just,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was stocking up on chips and Slim Jims.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so things shifted. We ended up moving to we were renting an apartment for a bit till things got sorted out. The divorce lasted a long time in court. They probably could have sent a few kids to college for the cost of the divorce. And conversations shifted to, we have $40 to last us for the rest of the week. And it was tough, from going to feeling like money wasn't a thing, like it was just fine. It's like, oh, you want an American Girl doll for your birthday? Okay, to, oh my goodness, are we going to be okay?
Oh my gosh, that's scary.
It was. But fast forward to now, I got married in my late 20s, had Blake and Aubrey. My ex and I, we grew apart. We co-parent fine, but got divorced. And then over COVID, I met Eric, who's just a wonderful guy. We got married, and I have two amazing stepdaughters as a bonus. And then we added our golden doodle Oliver to the family. And it's just been a whirlwind. It's been amazing. The kids get along great. It's just takes time, though, with the blending process, but we're finding our rhythm, which is fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, so you had your own kind of money hiccups and story, as we all do, right? All different, but we all have our money experiences. But tell me how that money experience as a child set the foundation for financial literacy for yourself and for your family.
Oh, well, yes. Actually, when I was in grade school, I was actually made fun of for having money. I lived in a neighborhood that was, rather nice, but there weren't many kids my age. And they called me Leprechaun. I still don't know where that name came from. And it was that was the only thing I could think of, because I thought, why are they calling me Leprechaun? But they would call me
like a pot of gold that you always had, or something.
My mom, we lived it was like 5-minute drive to get to the bus stop, just from where I lived. But I never really understood being called Leprechaun, And then, shifted. We moved. So I was no longer made fun of for that, which is great. It just kind of was a different, shift. So that was kind of my first experience with money, though, was being made fun of it for, being in an upper middle class family. So I kind of feel like I've been on both sides of the, aisle as a kid. And I remember I put myself through graduate school and lived in back of the yards in Chicago and rented a room for $700 a month. And, took the Orange Line in. And my husband and I are rewatching Shameless, which is funny because it was not too far from where I lived when I was in graduate school.
Purse Strings offers an available for hire network of vetted professionals who specialize in serving women. When you have a life event that has suddenly made money a priority, you can now move forward with a whole new confidence that you're getting advice and services from savvy professionals who are uniquely equipped to serve your needs. Go to pursestrings.co and use our directory of handpicked financial professionals when you're ready to plan for retirement, navigate divorce, buy your next home, fire up your new business, and more. Go to pursestrings.co or check the link in the show notes. Now you can be financially fearless.
And so, yeah, you really had that experience of kind of being made fun of for having wealth, but you also see what it's like,
True.
not having kind of that wealth. And you can kind of get made fun of either way. And so it's really important to kind of have these conversations with our children as well, that it's not good or bad. Money is just kind of a tool. And so, when we start having these conversations with our children around money, first of all, how do we make this fun as children? We just want to have fun.
Yes. Well, there's quite a few ways to make it fun. One thing that our girls do is they set up a cafe in the basement. So they are having, a menu that changes with dollar amounts. They have fake money, a cash register. So that's a really cute thing that's fun for them. So maybe just setting up a business, if it's a lemonade stand or something pretend. There's financial apps that also can be helpful. Greenlight is a big one where you can have a credit card with your child's picture on it and manage that for them, where they can have money added to it for doing chores or a set allowance. There's a lot of different ways you can use that app or similar apps for that. Where
Is that a real credit card type thing that they could use at the store?
It's more like a prepaid debit card.
Okay, got it.
But they can use it at the store, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
One idea too is have them budget a trip. There's not much risk of having them budget and plan a trip. Say, we're going to Wisconsin Dells. We have $1,000 for the week. Where are we going to stay? What parks do we want to go to? Where are we going to eat? They might want us going to so many water parks where we're having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for 3 meals. But, just letting them have that of figuring out how to budget for a vacation. So that can be, a great tool. Setting up bank accounts, or there's a lot of times the local bank will have a junior saving club. And then a few years ago, I started out with Blake and Aubrey with having UTMA accounts. And I apologize for using an acronym, but that is a minor brokerage account where your children actually have a brokerage account in their name that will go to them at their majority age, which is different in every state. In Illinois, at 18, I can decide they can have their brokerage account, or 21. So I have a little bit of control on that. Well, at 21, it automatically goes to them. So we discuss what companies are you interested in, what stocks and just a lot of different platforms like Schwab and Fidelity. You can even purchase fractional shares of the stocks, so they're able to have a portfolio, or have them list the companies they're interested in and see if there's a ETF, which is a basket of stocks that might fit fit the bill for the companies that they want to invest in. And they like tracking that. You can put the, if it's Charles Schwab or Fidelity or whoever the custodian is, they can put the app on the phone. They can look at it. You can have those discussions of, you got a birthday check from grandma for $50. Do you want to put it in? And letting them see what kind of stocks they want to own. And they really love being an owner of a company and explaining how having a share, what that means to them. And you can say, you own Roblox. Not only do you play Roblox, you own it. And after seeing so many Robux gift cards get used, I don't know if you're familiar with Robux, but it's like a virtual game that kids play where they can spend an insane amount of money on making their Robux character look good with different outfits that all cost Robux.
I got it.
So instead of doing that, why don't we invest in the stock and see how that goes? So that's something that, we've done to make it fun. And then they can see their funds grow and why you go ahead and invest money. And also having conversations about how stocks are different than bonds. And I find a lot of adults, even in their 40s, 30s, how they don't really even know the difference between a stock and a bond. If you ask someone, they might say, well, I know a bond is a little bit more conservative than a stock, but they don't truly know the difference. So talking to them about, well, bond is you lending money to a company like Apple, where Apple says, I'm going to pay you 5% for you lending me $1,000. And at the end of the year, I'm going to give you your $1,000 back along with, 5% interest. And there you go. That's a bond. So you just need Apple to stay in business to get your money back and get that 5%. But if you own Apple stock, you want Apple to do well. You're betting that they're going to stay in business, but you're betting that they're going to release the Apple iPhone, I don't know, what are we on, 16, 17, and their technology is going to, continue to grow and do well. So, having those conversations of, do we own bonds and stocks? How do they work? How do they work differently? When stocks are doing well, usually they're okay, but they're not, they have that inverse relationship. And then when bonds are doing well, sometimes stocks aren't. So kind of balancing it out with both.
Wow. I can't imagine the conversations in your household. I mean, most people are not having these conversations.
They're fun to have. We go through so much of being told not to talk about money. It's not polite. I just wrapped a birthday present and freaked out that I didn't cross off the price of the gift. And it's not that we always are talking about money, but, I just think it's really important for them to have a reality check of how much things, how expensive things are, how reasonable things are, and have some type of, realization and understand, the boba tea that's $7. Well, that's a lot of money for a tea that doesn't really have nutrients. Just those conversations are fantastic. We did Feed Our Starving Children last week, and that was always a great time. There's one in our town, and the children, they spend about an hour and a half packing food for children in need, and 25 cents, feeds a child for a day. And putting that in context of your boba tea at $7, that's 28 meals for a child that's really in need, just so they have, that context. Or even in a kind of a more fun light, I took Aubrey, she wanted to go on a girls' trip to go look for beauty and spa products. And we went to Ulta.
My kind of girl.
I know. We went to Ulta, she got a $10 lip gloss. And then we went to the Dollar Tree where she just loaded up. She brought her own money, and I'm kind of fearful for maybe some of the chemicals that might be in some of those products. But the other day she goes, the Dollar Tree lip gloss is way better than the Ulta lip gloss. And, it's just, interesting to kind of see those wheels turning in her.
It's amazing to or it's great to have these conversations when it's so almost like risk-free, or more risk-free as this isn't our whole life savings. This is just $50 that we're learning with, we're dabbling with, all these different things, comparing, because it does get more serious when you're older of I really need this tool, where now it's mom's always going to buy us groceries if my stocks don't do well, whatever it may be. But then even on vacations, understanding what's important to you. If it is the water park and you don't mind eating a PB&J, that's fine. But if you do like a nice meal, we might not hit the water park one day. And so it's just interesting making those comparisons and seeing what you have to give and take, because as an adult, that is what you have to do. And I think so many things we have no, we know we pay the water bill, but I have no idea how much the water is. And then when you get the bill, you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's more than I thought it might be, and so it's just interesting learning about these things and getting a grasp on those numbers, not just that you have to pay them, but what might that cost and how is that in comparison to other things? Because I know that was always an eye-opening thing for me as I started paying more bills.
Isn't it crazy? Everything costs money. That water just doesn't come out of the faucet and it's free. And no, that's really an interesting point for sure. And spending wisely too with that. The kids come up to me all the time and, can I have this? Can I have this? And, just talking to them of, well, why do you want it? What's your plan to have the money to buy it? Are there chores that can be done? Do you have something similar? Can you borrow it? Stanley mugs have become a huge thing in our house.
Get it.
Here.
Oh yeah.
I don't get it either. And Aubrey, the 11-year-old, did not get one for Christmas. It wasn't on her list. Why does a child need to carry around 40 ounces of water to their classes? I just don't get it either. And that was something that was really important to her. And we talked about, does she really need it? Because everyone else now has a Stanley mug. What is are we just checking the box? It's $40. That's kind of crazy to spend. And she wanted it so bad. She came up with a plan of, she used a little bit of her own money. She did chores. We compromised. We got the 20-ounce one with the handle instead of the 40-ounce one with the straw. And she was happy. And same thing with Blake. If he wants a video game, well, what's your plan? Are you picking up sticks in the backyard? Are you shoveling driveways? How much do you have saved up already? Do you really need it? And they just have their own, kind of personalities too. Blake is always wanting to buy stuff for his sisters, which is really, really sweet. Yeah, it is. And then Aubrey, for her to spend a dime of her own money is really painful for her. She wants to cling on to all of it. So, it's just kind of neat to see their personalities and how they view money, just being raised together in the same way. They just have different, kind of MOs of how they go about their own money.
I think that cup example is so interesting. Is sometimes I think you really think you want it and you do all that work and you get it and you get the cup. And then afterwards, a week later, you're like, God, that was not worth it. I really, really thought I wanted it. But after all that work and all this, and I just kind of have this cup sitting here, maybe it's not as fulfilling. And you can really learn from that, to sit through of why did I think it was something I needed? And why is it not, hitting the mark now? Or maybe it is. And every day you look at it, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I got that mug. I love the cold water, whatever it may be. But it's just interesting when you do have to work for it. And then you kind of get that reflection later of it was a good purchase or it wasn't, after all that work, kind of earning it and getting that product.
She's still lugging it around to her classes. And it's been a few weeks and I'm kind of surprised. And at least it's water and, it's healthy for her. But I just did not think she was going to be up on carrying it around everywhere you go. And it's funny because I saw the teachers come in, they all have their Stanley mugs and I don't get it. We talked about kind of, does it just check the box amongst your friend that you have one? Like, or is it something you need? Then we talked about like the whole hashtag basic. Like, do you need all the same stuff as your friends with the same brands, or does it pay to maybe save a little bit of money and find something unique that's uniquely yours, but not a $40 water bottle?
Yeah. Sometimes it's more than the mug, right? It's what goes along with it in terms of fitting in or being like the rest of your friends, things like that. But that's expensive. I mean, I couldn't imagine in my life ever. Well, we never drank water like that back in the day.
We didn't either.
No one drank water as much as they do today. I don't get that either. But I guess we were all just dehydrated.
Yeah, we drank from not the faucet, but the
bubbler.
Can't I think of it? The bubbler, yes. Yeah. And everyone put their mouth on the bubbler. It was well before COVID, and we all survived somehow.
We did. This has been such a great conversation. You've offered so many great, interesting tricks and tips and ways that you work with your own children around money conversations. And what I love about it is just breaking down those simple asks every day into kind of a financial conversation, which doesn't have to be complicated. It can be, if you want something and this is what it costs, how are we going to go about purchasing it without just, shelling out the money for them? It's really a learning opportunity for your children. What else do you have to, as we wrap this up, Lauren, what other tips have we not covered that you would like to share?
Sure. I think one thing about finances is just being human with your child, explaining it, being honest. If you didn't start saving for retirement or saving for college till later, be honest. Also, too, make sure you're not talking to your children from a place of scarcity, of fear, of we don't have enough money for that. Maybe try saying something like, we're choosing not to buy that right now. These are our financial priorities this year. And then also, too, a lot of times we just talk about saving and spending and being careful, but giving them permission to make money, to invest, to have calculated risk that they're going to use their money for. I've met young adults that are scared to go to college because they have to take the loan out. And that's most kids. I mean, most people use student loans or, to better themselves because they do have to take a loan out. And there's good loans. There's not so great loans. If anyone's dealt with a Parent Plus college loan, those are expensive, but there's times where it makes sense. There's times where you can use your money to make an investment, and you should. So it's just being honest. I had Aubrey, dropped her off at school one day, and she said, well, we have the book fair today. Can I have some money? And I'm like, Aubrey, we're choosing not to spend money on the book fair right now. You just had your birthday. You have plenty of books. We were just in the library. So anyhow, I pick her up from school, and guess what? She comes home with books. And her friend Layla's, her dad gave her $100 to spend at the book fair. So she gave Aubrey 20 of it, and I was trying to tell Aubrey, like, hey, you need to pay your friend back, that was really nice of her. And Aubrey's like, well, she said she didn't need it. I'm like, no, you're going to do it, and just kind of having those conversations of, well, what's right? It was nice of Layla, but you have the means to pay her back. It's not that you don't have any books, just kind of those tough conversations of that's what's right is to pay her back.
Yeah, I like that you touched on some of those tough conversations. It's not always easy just understanding why they are not just donating that money to you or, that, if your family can't afford something, how to kind of reframe that. Because I feel like as a parent, you do want to provide anything and everything to your kids, but it's also like, you can't do it all. And so how do you kind of explain that and show that without them also having that scarcity mindset like you mentioned?
And money isn't everything, but teaching them financial literacy when they're young, teaching them to have a financial plan, hopefully that grows with them into their future. Hopefully they have that, because anyone that is on a sound economic path, their voices are louder. They have more options. It really opens up when you're confident about your finances. You can really take charge, and you can choose different jobs that interest you. You can, maybe it's getting out of a not so great situation and having the money to go ahead and do that. It's really powerful. And I know different schools, some teach finance and most don't, and everyone's going to have to handle how they use their paycheck as an adult. So why not start teaching those skills from a young age?
Definitely. Yeah, I love that. So before we wrap up today, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to make sure is shared with our audience?
I think that's pretty much everything. I'm just very honored to be included on this podcast. And I just encourage all your listeners to have those conversations with your children. Even though your parents might have said it's not polite to talk about money, it's, stuff you need to talk about. It's a skill. I mean, we teach our kids how to eat healthy. We teach them how to be kind and loving to others. We teach them to do well in school. Why wouldn't we teach them how to manage their money? Because money is not everything, but it sure the heck makes life a lot easier when you have a plan to manage your money.
Definitely, definitely. Well, we thank you, Lauren, for coming on today and sharing your expertise. This was really great, as we know we need to have these conversations with our children and really help them then grow a positive money mindset. So we appreciate everyone tuning in today and listening. Remember to take some action, whether that's a conversation with your kids, calling a financial professional, or just checking your bank account. Every little step makes a difference. And please share this with a friend, as we have to keep talking about this shit, and we'll talk to everyone again soon.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.